In this video, we're going to go over the last couple of properties for our trail renderer, being the min, vertex, distance, and Autodestruct. Now, you might have noticed that we skipped over cast and receive shadows, and really that's just because the default particle shaders that you're most likely going to be using with the trail renderer don't support shadows in the first place. Those checkboxes, just like with particle systems, are there to expose those shadow features if you are writing your own shaders and would care to use them. So let's start with min, vertex, distance. What this is going to do is control the minimum value or the minimum distance that points can exist in your trail while it's being drawn. And it's a lot easier to see if we go ahead and hit play and then switch right back over to the scene view and take a look at the mesh as it's being drawn. So you can see how close together these edges are. Min, vertex, distance allows us to control that distance in between these edges. So as I start to increase this value, you'll see that I'm getting much wider gaps between the edges of my mesh.
Right, this is a performance tweak. You don't want to have a whole bunch of trails in your scene with a high mesh or triangle count, because they will eventually slow down the game itself. So this is one of those trade-off ones. You want to get your distance as large as you can get with the quality of the trail that you find acceptable.
That's right. Now this property also has the added benefit of making sure that the mesh doesn't get too dense in areas where the object that is painting the trail is slowing down. Because if it was dropping out these edges at a constant rate, when the object speeds up, you'd expect there to be larger patches, and then when it slowed down, you'd expect those gaps to start to narrow. Min, vertex, distance keeps that scrunching together from happening. Now, again, if we pull this down, and you can pull it all the way down to 0 if you want, and you get a super high resolution mesh. So really, it's just more about playing with it and finding the performance tweak that works best for your particular application. Now, the next property is Autodestruct. This is exactly like the Autodestruct property found in the particle renderer as well. What this does is, as soon as we no longer have a trail, the game object that the trail is attached to will also cease to exist. Now, to show this off, I'm going to do something a little bit on the unorthodox side. I'm going to create a sphere, and I'll go ahead and parent, or not parent, but I'll apply a trail renderer component directly to the sphere, which, again, generally you don't do. You can have a game object and parent that, but this will do a really good job of showing what I want to show here. So let's go under Create in the Hierarchy view, and I'll drop down a sphere. And let's just get this positioned where I want. So let's see. If I just snap that over here to this corner. I did that with the V key, by the way. So just hold down V, and you can drag to any corner of the geometry just to kind of speed things up. And I'll move this right over this ramp, like so. And then we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to go under Component, Physics, and add a rigid body. And that'll just give us something that responds to gravity and will fall and land on the ramp and roll around a bit. And let's take its drag, and I'm really going to crank the drag up. Let's try it at 3, and that'll just help this ball come to a stop more quickly as opposed to rolling around all the time. Now we're going to add a trail to this. So let's go back to Component, Particles, and jump down to the trail renderer. Now I need to set up a material for this, so let's just do this fairly quick. I'll just grab, I don't know, it could be anybody. We could just go ahead and grab the Flame D that we were using earlier. And let's make sure that Autodestruct is checked here at the bottom. We'll hit play, and then in the game I'm going to run over to that ramp. So you see the trail following the sphere, and then the sphere stops. And as soon as that trail is gone, so too is the game object. Now, you probably don't always want that to happen. Like, it'd be okay if the trail disappeared, but in most cases, you'd probably want the object to stay. If that's the case, then use the setup that we created earlier, where the trail itself was actually created as a component on a completely empty game object, because then only that game object will be deleted, and not the mesh itself. So that is a look at the last couple of properties of our trail render. Again, a very nice way to create these trail-like effects you see here. And there's all kinds of ways that you could use this if you really think about it. But that is going to wrap things up for this video. Thank you very much for watching.